I want to get really deep for a moment on attention and garnishing attention, really, and at least in 2025 here. And in the specific lens that I'm looking through is basically YouTube and social media. The reason I'm thinking about this is because I deal with this almost every single day. I have an insurmountable amount of secondhand experience that I've observed. I have a ton of personal experience that I've delved with and tried to different things and all that sort of stuff. And I just have an unbelievable amount of thoughts. So at this very moment of filming this, I have zero idea where I'm going to post this. I don't know if I'm going to post this, and this all plays into what I'm going to talk about, because I need to hit the record button. I need to talk about these things because I do believe if you just put it out there, good things will happen. The problem becomes, where do you put it out there? How do you put it out there? Those types of questions. And I just have a lot of thoughts around it. So I'm going to just talk into this camera, and hopefully we're gonna move in the right direction. So here's really where it all starts. It all starts with, a lot of this is again from my lens, but also you can see it elsewhere. There's a lot of people out there that do things and then they want attention. Now, they want attention for many reasons. Maybe they want attention because they never had attention. Maybe they want attention because they truly believe they have value to provide and they want to do that. Maybe they want to make money from their attention. There's a ton of things, and it's all gray. There's no black or white. So when you have that situation arise with yourself or people that you observe, then you start to see and understand, if you're really meta about it, you start to really pick up on human behavior. So if we're talking about content specifically, there's kind of two camps. There's entertainment and education, or maybe in the middle there's edutainment type thing. It's kind of a little bit of a spectrum there, and it really depends on, again, I feel like maybe what comes naturally to you, most naturally to you, what you want to produce, what your ultimate goals are. If you just like watching entertaining content that isn't really helpful in any way or educating, then maybe you make entertaining content, and then people watch that because a lot of people just want to be entertained. They don't really necessarily want to learn, and then vice versa. There's a lot of people that want to learn and don't want to don't necessarily watch too much stuff for entertainment. But my biggest struggle, because I've had many different stints on YouTube, and I'm sure I'm going to have more in the future, but I'm trying to really nail down, because I'm somewhat young right now. I'm still in my 20s for one more year, 29 years old. I see so many people in my niche of WordPress and technology, and then I see larger people that are, in different industries and making way more viewership, more money, all that sort of stuff. And I'm trying to understand really what level of luck goes into it, what level of skill goes into it, what level of strategy goes into it. And I'm trying to understand to just consistently be thinking about these things. Not that I could create the perfect plan, because I don't think that exists. I think it's just, every day you just kind of show up and just keep going. And I think that is probably the biggest factor. But I do think there's probably some things that if you just take a second, once in a while, like a couple minutes to think, is this a good use of my time, or is this a better use of my time? Which, just kind of weigh those from time to time, the strategy around these different things. I think it could be really beneficial. So I'll give you a completely very specific example of what I'm talking about. I've been on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, Mark Szymanski, which I don't know if this is going on there or not, for years. My first video was, I want to say almost, I don't know, eight years ago or something like that, maybe 7 or 8 years ago. And it was me reviewing a wallet, okay, which I still have. Okay, it's like a cool wallet, slides out, whatever. 10-minute video, just me looking at my hands, just filming my hands, talking about this wallet. Now, since then, I've put up a ton of live streams. During the COVID times, I was literally live streaming every single night, just building different projects and stuff like that. And put up a ton of videos when we bought our current home and renovated it. I put 50 or so vlogs up of me just doing different shit, fixing stuff and kind of getting a lay of the land and everything like that, as far as documenting all those things. Those videos still exist. They are not public on the channel because at some point, probably about a year and a half ago at this point, I decided I'm going to niche this channel into WordPress content for agency owners and freelancers and people like me that were trying to build websites and make things better and all that sort of stuff. Now, I don't regret that decision. However, I do think that it brings up a lot of really interesting things if you're into this type of content marketing, attention garnishing, personal branding. These are things that I just love. Just the love for it just oozes out of me. Like I just really love this stuff because I don't know if it's a level of just like I know that I have value. I want to learn, try and share the things that I do, and I just want to keep putting that out there. I don't know if I just like listening to myself talk. There's definitely probably a portion of that. I do like being on camera and talking into it. I feel like it comes naturally to me. And again, I just really think that there is value in the content that I've produced, and because I've gotten a lot of value from other people's content that they produce. So it really comes from that. So I made this decision to pivot and be like more niche, like in the WordPress space. I don't regret it because it has been kind of life-changing to a degree. It's definitely been one of those like pinnacle moments where you realize that, oh, if you took this fork in the road, good things have happened since then, and good things are going to continue to happen because there's opportunity that has arisen from that. However, I'm trying to think of the bad part about this is we're still kind of like early, so to speak, in like the YouTube journey. Like it's not like we have years and years of like case studies to look at, but I'm trying to think of, I'm constantly thinking about this thing of I want to always have like some level of a personal brand because I'm a person and I have things to say regardless of what they are, whatever niche they are. But I also am curating an audience right now on this channel that's my name that is like agency owners and freelancers. Now, that's great, but at some point, those people are probably going to be like, I'm going to start making different videos, and those people are probably going to be upset. Now, I'm not saying that you can I don't know that you can worry about that right now. And maybe that's just the answer is just don't worry about it. But I'm already kind of at the point where it's like, I do want to talk to those people. I know there's a lot of value there. I know we've created this audience, but I also do want to have some other level of something, that is a little bit more like these types of conversations where it's definitely not, crafted directly at those people. There's absolutely things because we're all human and we're all doing very similar things. It's not like I'm saying like how to, fix something on your car, like totally randomly, which I have done those types of videos too on this channel. But it's not like that. It's just more of, it's just other things that I'm interested in. And my whole thought process is because I've looked at all these different people and all these different people that have done these things differently. And they always like kind of focus on one thing and they're known for something, but they're still people. They have other opinions, they have other thoughts and stuff like that. So like, where do they put those? I haven't fully figured that out yet. I've seen some other people create like secondary channels, whether they're, daily updates channels or just extras or what have you. Part of me really wants to do that because I think what that will end up actually doing for me is pulling the people off the channel, the main niched channel of like WordPress and stuff, pull them over to somewhere else. And then what that'll do is that'll segregate the audience a little bit where it's like, hey, these people like are more interested in like just me, more interested in, I don't know, XYZ, whatever. And then this is where like I hope the value comes in. When I started this, I was thinking person to person, like one person to another, like, looking at, like me, for instance, and being like, hey, Mark's just like me. He uses bricks, uses, WordPress, whatever. He builds stuff, he's teaching me. That's great. Or he's giving me thoughts and different ideas on WordPress, stuff like that. I thought that was the way to do it. And I still don't think it's not the right way to do it. I just think that if I were to redo this, what I might actually do is I might actually go back and I might put like a little bit of a spin on it. There was a period in time, I'll tell you a quick story. There was a period in time right before I launched like the channel, like relaunched it, so to speak, with the niched content. There was a period in time where I was going to name the channel. It's going to be a different channel, but like I was going to do this on a channel called MJS WP. Now, in my opinion, still that's a terrible idea because like I was pigeonholing myself too much just to WordPress stuff. I still feel like that would have been silly. But my point is that it's very hard to know what's going to happen in the future until you actually just do the things and you get to where you're at. But I think if I could go back in time, and if you're in the same situation, it doesn't have to be with this topic or this niche, but if you're trying to, like, if you haven't built anything yet and you do feel like, you have value to provide, you want to share it, you're half decent on camera, like that stuff, you want to get better at that, like whatever those are, then if you feel that, one thing you might want to do is do the same thing that I did as far as like going into a community, and like really ingraining yourself in that. So then you have to almost go like tight. So then you can go wider. I feel like as far as like your focus, I think that's the approach. However, one minute detail that is fixable, but is not like the optimal is if you could start it from the beginning where you're like niched in your channel. Like you have like, I don't know, maybe Mark's web design tips or something ridiculous like that. It's a terrible name. But my point is there is a reason. I think there is like credence to the idea of doing that, building up an audience of those people that want to do that, and then going over to another channel and being like, oh, this is my personal channel, like Mark Szymanski or whatever over here. Because I was gonna do that. I wanted to do that. But I didn't realize at the time what that actually was doing. My worry was, now I'm like managing multiple channels. Like I already had some subscribers on the Mark Szymanski channel. Like I just kind of like springboarded from that. Definitely helped. Okay. I'm just saying that if I was doing it all over again, and this isn't like me just talking about YouTube. This is me trying to literally understand how to gain attention in this world that we live in, where like there's so much, like, it sounds so like narcissistic, the attention thing, but it's really like attention leads to money, like actual non-noise bullshit attention. You're actually giving value. You have to give value regardless. And the stuff that I'm talking about is a little bit like vanity in a way, but I'm talking about it in a way of, like, when I say vanity, I mean like, what your channel's named and all that sort of stuff. It's like I'm trying to think of the optimal approach there if I was going to do it again. Just try to give some value, or dispense some level of wisdom. I think that that's the way to go, where you have like a brand that's still you, but it's specific to you, and then you move to your own personal channel. And what you do, and you could do them simultaneously, but the point is that like what you're doing is, if somebody watches your content only for whatever the technical skill, let's say, that you're demonstrating, then great. Thank you for interfacing with me this much, like about this much of my being. That's fantastic. But if you're the type of person that doesn't just want to do this for just the technical shit, and you do want to share more about either your life or more about your other pieces of your life, rather than just the web design shit that you do or whatever, as an example, then I think that the way to do it is to kind of do a more niched starting thing there, like a niche channel to do that, and then you pivot over to your actual like personal channel. Like you extract the people from that audience and you say, hey, here's Brick's tutorial, that a WordPress tutorial, whatever, on this channel as an example, and then you go over and you say, hey, I'm talking about entrepreneurship and some other stuff and just some life stuff. If you want to go check out that on the second channel, then go ahead and free. That concept is not foreign. There are a lot of people that are doing that. I just still think it's like kind of in reverse. I still think a lot of people are like their name, and then they go over and it's like some other thing like extras. And I don't know the answer to that. I feel like there is no direct answer, but I'm trying to think of how that actually, if there's any pros and cons to that situation. I think my cons always end up being like, now I have to manage more things. Now I have like basically another whole channel to manage, which is kind of a pain in the ass. Could be an annoyance. I wish the world worked where I could just have a channel called Mark Szymanski. I could put any video up that I want at any time on anything that I'm interested in, and the right people would find those videos. I do think that will happen. I just don't think that's a really good way to curate an actual audience that you could potentially monetize, or you could potentially just continuously provide value to, because not everybody's going to be interested in the same things. So this is just a lesson on, again, my thoughts on content marketing, creating some level of, again, attention, and potentially like an info business at some point, if that's something you're interested in, or just trying to, like, again, it doesn't even have to be an info business. It could just be sharing info in order to, improve your service business or something like that, right? To market that. I think anybody could take this advice. It's more so for people that are like thinking about personal branding, right? And like personal stuff or whatever. But I just think that is kind of like the really big problem that I have right now. Again, as another real specific example that I'm dealing with right now, I have hundreds of thousands of views that are unlisted on YouTube on my main channel, because I've hid those videos because I changed over to this new segment, this new audience, this new topic. Now, is that a bad thing? Is it a good thing? I think it's probably a little bit more. It's probably in between, but it's still kind of like, well, what the hell? Like, I mean, I don't ever want to be the person, even though I did that in that case. Like, I don't like the idea of doing something and then deleting it, so to speak. It's not deleted, but like, I don't like the idea of like hiding it. There's nothing wrong with the content, like that it needs to be hidden. I'm saying I just don't want to do that. I want to have this I'm trying to document a lot of the stuff that I'm doing, educate as well, but I'm trying to document. And I feel like I've gone back and forth on this. I should just like I should just list those videos back on YouTube, and I don't really care. Like, it's like maybe you look back at my archive one day and it's like, okay, this was the, the first era of YouTube. This was the live streaming where I was like building random shit and doing stuff. And then this was the era where we were doing the vlogs for the house. And then this was the WordPress era. And then the next era is whatever. I feel like that's also a strategy. The problem is you just have like, artifacts of people basically that are in your subscribers, where I'd like to not piss those people off. I'd like to not create a situation where I have, potentially hundreds of thousands of subscribers and then a lot of them don't give a fuck about the content that I'm producing. I think I'd rather have smaller, like, niched channels and do it in that fashion. But I don't know. I don't know if there's the right strategy here. My point in saying all this again is, if you're interested in personal branding, you're interested in kind of building that type of rapport with people over time, whether it's subscribers or in person, or like just like building that level of, your community, so to speak, and the things that you do. I think that it's something that's just really interesting to me, and I'm always trying to study it with other people. So then I take those things and I try to put them through in my content and the way that I do stuff. But ultimately, it is it's a whole thing in and of itself. Like it's marketing, it's whatever, but it's just something that I don't know how many chances you really get to like do it right, so to speak. And if it's your personal brand, then you have to be really careful on the reputation side of it, and you have to be careful on just like kind of who you're talking to, because you don't want to. Again, I feel like you don't want to create a situation where you have an audience that you've curated that is not exactly who you want to talk to. And I think one of the last points there specifically is, I'm reaching the point now where I want to like leverage the people that are following me and giving me all the support, right? And I'm thinking like, how do I actually do that? Because if I don't have a good idea, I mean, I do have a decent idea right now, but like, extrapolating that out, how would I do that? How would I target my audience and actually be like, my audience is comprised of X, Y, and Z, if I didn't actually know? So that's, I'm just thinking about all those types of things, and I'm not the first one to think of all those. It's just, I'm literally documenting what I'm going through there. And so I don't know where this video is going to go. It's a problem. That's a real problem for me. I would love to be able to just talk like this pretty frequently and put this anywhere I want, or just at least have an idea of where this needs to go. I'd love to just post this on my main channel. But again, my problem is that I have people that know that I am a WordPress specific, YouTuber, so to speak. And, the videos that I put up there, I want to make sense for those people that are subscribed and potentially sponsors of the channel too. So it's like, I don't know. I think the answer is probably I need another channel, because I'm not going to stop having these like thoughts and these things that don't necessarily belong there. And I think ultimately it could spiral into something else too. My only issue with that is I would have loved that to be my personal channel, because, that would have been really nice. Because I'm going to be honest with you, that is actually what I did at the very beginning, and that's what I wanted to do. And I'll leave you with this. This is the reason, this is the articulation of the earlier point, why you cannot start broad. I thought this for a long time, and it's a trap, okay? You cannot start broad, because every single person that you've ever seen in your life that is big, they did not start broad. When I was kind of like coming up, so to speak, or whatever, or like I'm still not anywhere near the up, but when I was like really like younger, I was watching like Gary Vee, and I was like, oh, Gary Vee has like all these businesses, and I'm thinking, I want to do that. I'm going to set up like a holding company. I'm going to like talk about random shit, business, all that sort of stuff. Like maybe at this stage of the game, maybe you could like put some interesting vlog content together, and people would start to like think like, oh, that's interesting, whatever. I didn't even get into this point like heavily, but the thing that my hypothesis around this and to articulate that point is, you need to start niched, because it's so much easier to gain attention when you're talking about one specific thing, because people are searching for, again, I'll use my example, like bricks content or WordPress content or whatever. So everyone's a person, right? So it's way easier to go out than it is to go in, because when you're in, it's like everyone in your circle likes bricks. Okay, or as an example. And then when you go out, it's like, well, okay, there's going to be a fair amount of people that are going to like understand, about like the ideas of, entrepreneurship or marketing or what have you. But if you went the other way, then it's like, okay, I'm talking about entrepreneurship, marketing, whatever, and then I make a bricks video. It's like nobody uses bricks or nobody uses WordPress or whatever. Maybe they use different things, or maybe they're not interested in being a technician of their business at all. My point is like that's one thing that I do think is important, that it's way easier to get broader than it is to get more niched. But the issue there is that, it depends on kind of how you start and how you set it up in the first place. This is going to be the last point because this is an important one. The other issue that I have here is that it goes right in line with that. When I started this YouTube channel and I started doing stuff, I just wanted to document. I just wanted to put videos out, and I was putting videos out about like random stuff like this in my car, just driving or whatever. Nobody was watching that because nobody knew who the fuck I was, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. Even the content could have been like half decent, the messaging could have been half decent, but nobody knew who I was. The reason nobody knew who I was because I didn't have that niche audience of people that actually cared, and I also had absolutely nothing in terms of social proof and actual track record. What I've seen, this is the other motif that I've seen, is that it is very hard to create content, especially educational content, when you do not have like actual track record to back it up. And when I mean track record, most of the time I literally mean money, like revenue numbers. And you don't have to be the person that necessarily says, oh, I made this amount of money this month, like this is why you should listen to me. You don't have to necessarily do that. But you do have to, if you're talking to people that want to make money, an easy way to get them to listen to you is say that you make money. Like that just makes total sense to me. And again, that's not something that I really have the current numbers in order to do that. Like literally my best month ever, I mean, not my best month ever entirely, but like my highest like MRR, like recurringly was like maybe like 3,500 or something a month. Like I'm very average, possibly below average in like the actual stuff that I've done from an agency perspective and all that sort of stuff. So like my point is that this is slightly an aside, but that's why I'm trying to go back into, and really think about how do I build up these things to get more social proof in those areas, whether that's agency work or something else. Like you need to be able to make money before you like actually teach people about that. You need to, and not, you don't have to do that, but most people are going to say you have to do that, but really it's just a lot easier. Like it's just a lot easier if you just like you focus on making something and building something, and then you just go and say, hey, this is how I built this, and you just keep talking about that, and then people are like, oh, you built that, and like, yeah, and like, oh, how'd you do that? And then it's like they know. Again, it's just social proof. It's just pure social proof. So yeah, a lot of thoughts here. I don't know what to say. I'm constantly thinking about these things while also trying to constantly work and make them better. And I don't ever want to get hung up on these ideas because that's just not, like, it's way better to just like do something really fast now that I'm realizing and make it like messed up than to like really worry about some like a decision for an extended period of time and then just not do anything. Because a lot of things are fixable. But I would just say though, I'm not going to not say when I feel like there's probably a better way to do something than I may have done. And so I don't regret it. I just feel like if I was advising somebody on how to do what I've tried to do and what a lot of other people have been even more successful than me on, is I would probably go like that route where it's niched and it's specific and like the channel, so to speak, or like the outlet that you're talking about is niched. And then you have the runway to offload people to your personal channel. The one thing you don't get a redo necessarily of is your personal identity, your personal channel. And I'm talking like down to the absolute minute details of like your username. I didn't fight, but like, I mean, like I did so much work to like make sure I got like Mark J. Szymanski everywhere. It's like, now I feel like I've kind of, in a way, this is going to sound ridiculous, I kind of feel like I've poisoned the well in a way because I'm not exactly sure if those people are always going to want to like follow me, because I've in a way just said like, hey, follow me, but I'm not always going to be talking about this shit. Like I can almost guarantee you, because I'm already out of the mindset of like, I don't want to be just a technician. I want to be more than that. And I don't know what the future holds. So I think the best way for me forward is to just not really worry about it, kind of think about it and be like, it is what it is. If people don't watch later down the line and they don't want us, they don't say, if they don't say subscribe and they don't want to watch, that's totally fine. And we grow apart. That's totally cool. But I'm just thinking if I were able to go back and I were able to do it differently, how would I do it? And I do think that it would probably be something more like that, where you don't ever create a personal brand. You don't ever actually like market your personal brand necessarily. You just let that happen organically. You don't go out and say, hey, like you could say you consult and things like that, but you don't like try to generate more viewership and growth specifically for your personal brand. You do it in a way where it's another niched thing that's still you, but it's niched to you, like again, Mark's web tips or something like that. And then you bring them into your circle. And again, this is just somebody who wants to actually, I would love to have more, like, I know there's more value to me as a person than just that thing, whatever the niche is. But that's kind of the way that I think about it. And I'm still not fully, my head isn't fully wrapped around that concept yet. And I don't know if that's like a great idea. But that would just be something that if I was starting my journey, I would want to hit the ground running, but I would also like give this the 5 minutes of thought that I talked about earlier, where it's like, do I do it this way? Do I do it that way? I don't know. It's a weird spot. I don't think there's any real right answer, but I'm just, again, trying to think about, with my experience and the other experiences that I've had, if that makes sense at all. If that's something that, is something that would benefit other people to hear and act on. And this video's gotten a little long, but those are my thoughts. I don't know where I'm going to post this. Like I said, if you see it, you see it. Thank you so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. Let me know if any of that makes sense. If you have any thoughts, the type of person you are, if you resonate with any of that. I'm just going to continue to talk into the camera. That's what I'm going to continue to do. I'm going to continue to work. I'm going to continue to learn. I'm going to continue to try and share everything that I do right into that camera right there. If you appreciate that, I think you'll find a way to follow me and the stuff that I'm saying. So thank you guys so much as always. I'll talk to you soon.